Hello, welcome. I'm Mr. P, otherwise known as Tarath Peacock. Welcome to the Flag Lair for a special. So I've got a number of flags, all real flags that I possess, which are all USA related in one form. So national, state flags, city flags, and a couple of weird anomaly flags, all linked to the USA. Anyway, let's get started. That's what we're here for flags. I'm going to get started with this one. I'll make sure I've got this right. Thought I'd start off with a generic blue bedsheet state flag of the US. This is Pennsylvania, a current state flag. I'm just going to say now, take a note of the colours in the middle emblem, the blue, yellow, green. Just remember those for the next flag that I'm going to show you in just a moment. Anyway, horses, eagles, literature and plants and all sorts. The coat of arms was created back in 1777, so I think right at the beginning of the development of the USA, as it were. The two horses which represent strength and loyalty. The wheat, which represents the fertility of the Pennsylvanian agriculture. The plough is the natural resources and agriculture again, of course. Ships for seas. I mean, where else would the ship go? And then the motto at the bottom of virtue, liberty, independence. It's all there. Like many other blue state flags. So this is the Pennsylvanian flag, like half of the others. I think it's almost out of the 50 states, it's almost half and half, where half of them are pretty much like this, a blue flag with various stuff in the middle. And they're not my favorite designs, to be fair. So we'll go from a Pennsylvanian current state flag to a Pennsylvanian proposition of what a decent state flag could look like. Here, this is a potential, and I love this flag for all the right reasons. If I can unfurl it properly. So this here is a nice, stark, simple potential state flag of Pennsylvania, designed by Tara Stark back in 2017, who is a Pennsylvania resident. So she lives in this state. The Pennsylvanian nickname, the Pennsylvanian state nickname, should I say, is the Keystone State. If I remember rightly, it was part of the writing of the Constitution, or the agreement of the Constitution of the USA back in the original days, as it were. And why I asked you to make a mental note of the previous flags, which was obviously the current state flag of Pennsylvania, their colours, it's the same colour scheme. So if I hold it up this way, the same colours. So Tara's taken the colours from the Pennsylvanian flag, that middle section where you had the boat and the wheat and the agriculture. So the boat, which was on blue water, the wheat, which was the yellow part, and then at the bottom was the green. So the colours are taken directly from the current state flag, where Tara's put all this. And obviously you've got the symbol of the keystone right in the middle of there, making it a very unique design. To me, this is far superior a flag than the current state flag. So this is just an example of what a state could have. And Ted Kay, who wrote the Good Flag, Bad Flag book about what a good flag should be, I think his statement is that in every bad flag, there's a good one screaming to get out. And he's right. So the Pennsylvanian flag in the middle of that emblem, those colours there are screaming to get out to end up being the Keystone flag. What have we got next? It is returning back to some more normal stuff. And talking of state flags, we'll stick with them for the moment. This is here the rather beautiful, but not to be confused, state flag of, I was about to say Chile, that's really naughty, Texas. Which was this one. Was this one adopted in 1839? But that's when it was probably a republic on its own, as opposed to a particular state. So that's where we've got this one. A single white star, which represents the Texas independence back in the day, otherwise known as the Lone Star State as well. But yes, don't get this one mixed up with Chile. Chile is pretty much as in the national flag. Chile's national flag is the same. Texas, again, a great standout flag, which is fantastic. It's not a blue bedsheet by any stretch, and nor should it be. And they did right in keeping this, because it's again, it makes it stand out amongst all the rest in the plethora of 50 state flags they've got to get in. So it's one that I happen to like, which is why I got it. Anyway, right, let's move on. I do, because I have a number of American flags I want to get through to, or US flags. Right, this one. Again, another one of my favorites. This is Colorado. The blue representing the nice clear blue skies of Colorado. The white symbolizes the Rocky Mountains. The red reflects the color of the state's soil. The gold represents the abundant sunshine. Adopted in 1911, this particular design, by an Andrew Carson. But yes, again, another great design. It's another one that stands out beautifully amongst its sea of these 50 states. I've got here, this is probably a flag that most people except Eyelet haven't seen, which is this one, which is all links. Let me just get that to fly in the right direction. There we go. Now, this isn't an official design, but a proposed design for Idaho, nicknamed the Gem State, if I've got that right, by our very own Phil Tippett. When I say very own, he's a lad in Scotland who works closely in the world of flags for both Scotland and the rest of the United Kingdom. The Garnet Gem is either found in Idaho and somewhere in India, and they're the only two places that allegedly you find the Garnet Star. But again, I do like this design, probably because it's a nice, plain, simple, but stands out. For those who know me, I like a good, simple, plain design flag, and that's one that I think does the job very well. Let's keep rolling, because I do have a fair amount of stuff. Okay, let's do this one while we're here, which is this one. Which, there we go, is obviously the national flag of the United States of America. So the first version, obviously, which this is not, was, if my history is right, back in June 1777. The red symbolizes valor and bravery, white signifies purity and innocence, and blue represents the vigilance, perseverance, and justice. 13 stripes, as we probably know, a lot of us, is the representation of the original 13 colonies that agreed to start their United Statenesses of it all, being part of the Union. And then the 50 stars, obviously representing the 50 states. Flags obviously changed a number of times over the years, to the point where at some point, I think when they got to the 15 states, they also had 15 stripes on the flag as well. So the idea was that you add stars when you get a new state, as well as add a stripe for each new state. And they got up to 15 stripes, and then realized that, well, especially if they'd got to 50 states, can you imagine what the stripes would have looked like at that stage? So that changed. They reduced the number of stripes back down to 13, the original colonies then, and just kept adding states. The standing is now that when a new state is added, and I wonder whether it's when a state also removes itself from the country, I don't know, I haven't read anything about that, but should a new state be added to the United States, then regardless of what date that is, the flag will change officially on the next 4th of July, which makes sense. One of the few number of countries where the flag is designed to be updated regardless. You know, many other countries, especially, you know, I would have thought some of the main European countries that just have the tri-bands in, for example, there's no need to update, change or amend that. But the US flag is very much designed and intended, a bit like Brazil, to be updated when their states change. This is the swallowtail state flag of Ohio. It was adopted in May 1902, designed by a John Eisenman. Red, white, and blue, of course, the colours taken from the US national flag. I mean, that's what the colours are. That's where they're from. It's obviously a unique shape because it is a swallowtail, which I can't really show very well while I'm holding it up like that. But when it's flapping in the wind, it does look rather cool. The big white circle in the middle with the red circle disc in the middle of that is obviously the letter O for Ohio. And when you've got a letter like that, I think, because I'm not one for putting letters, Colorado works as well, I think, because the shape of the letter C works. O works well as well. So I think you can get away with that. So these sort of state flags can get away with putting an initial on a flag, and I do like that. And then the 17 stars because it was the 17th state to join the Union. The swallowtail flag of Ohio, which I think is a beautiful flag, which I flew earlier this week. This is the Tulsa flag, adopted only in 2018. So not that old, but one of an incredible design for a flag. The blue represents the Arkansas River. The beige symbolizes warmth and community, which is at the bottom there. Gold signifies discovery of oil, and the red represents the blood shed during the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre, which I will not go into details here, but I'm sure if you wanted to look it up and understand more about that, you are more than welcome, because it plays a pivotal part in this area's history. And then the shield bit represents the Native American tribes, and now it makes more sense. And the star within the red circle symbolizes Tulsa's bright future. So it's a beautiful symbolic flag that does not shy away from its history, which I think is necessary, and it makes a beautiful, bold statement as well as a great flag. It's one that I can't knock, and I think it did rather well in a NAVA poll just a few years back, if I remember rightly. I didn't realize actually just how many US flags I do have until pulling this all together, but there we go. Right. Going back in a slightly different direction here now. So this is the new state, sorry, the state flag of New Jersey, which, okay, it gets points for not being a blue bed sheet, but then it loses points pretty much for being everything but blue, but still a bed sheet with a seal on it. And it was adopted in, excuse me, March 1896. You've got the buff and blue. So the colours, the buff was chosen to recall the Dutch colony of New Netherlands. Could remember that the Dutch turned up on the east coast of the US quite early on, and New Amsterdam, which is now New York, which is all part of the Dutch early colonies as well. And then in amongst this, you've got the plows representing the agriculture, and the figures of liberty standing there as well, and all the other bits and pieces that go with it. But this is not a flag. The seals were not designed to go on a flag. I mean, they weren't. Seals were used to be on paperwork, official paperwork. That's what seals are for. And quite right too. And when they're used properly, that's what they are. They're used for headed paper. They're used for shields to sit behind governors' desks on the walls. That's what a seal should be for. You don't put it on a frigging flag, because the detail, when you stand back 3 meters, I don't know, 10 feet, trying to keep me up with the Americans and their imperial ways of measuring stuff, you can't see the detail. Don't put a seal on a flag. It's not what it's for. It's not why they're there. We move on to, for me now, which is a flag that pretty much got me into flags at an early stage. When I was at school, only a few years back, I was very much into my astronomy, not astrology. So I was into the stars and the moons and solar systems and all the other bits and pieces. That and my love of science fiction as well. Anyway, so I ended up going and did a course at a local university, a night course about astronomy, where they got their own telescope and what have you. And they talked to one of the talking points that they did was about two flags in particular. One of them was the Australian flag, and the other flag they talked about during this course was this one. He says, trying to make sure we get it the right way around, which is this, the flag of Alaska. And this constellation with what we call in the UK the plough. In the Americas, I think you call it the Big Dipper. So this is like the saucepan, basically, part of the stars. So the stars make up either a plough or a Big Dipper or a saucepan, let's face it. And then the North Star here up in the far top corner next to the fly. So designed back in May 1927 by a 13-year-old Benny Benson. And he came up with a rather marvelous. Something tells me that he had written the word Alaska on it and they removed it, but I may have got that wrong. I'm sure there was something that Benny had put on which they removed and went with what we've got now. And again, it's a beautiful island. The contrast between the dark navy blue and the light gold yellow stars, I think, is a beautiful, beautiful state flag. And again, it stands out. And it's simple. It's such a simple flag. Weirdly, it's simple because there's not much going on with it. But if you try and draw it, you're never going to get it exactly right. It's not like trying to draw the flag of France, for example. 3 colours done. This one you got, well, there's only so many stars on it, but you've got to get them in the right position. And anyway, you get one. Right, anyway, let's get on with New Mexico. Again, a favourite of mine. And I think always does very well in US state flag polls. And here we are, adopted in March 1925. The colours red and gold reflect the colours of the Spanish flag. The Zaya sun symbol represents the sacred number of 4, symbolizing 4 directions, seasons, times of day, stages of life. It's all there. So as you can see, there's 4 rays coming out in each direction and 4 lots of 4 rays as well. The one thing that I would do differently is just make the sun a bit bigger in the middle. There's plenty of flag to use. Just make it a little bit bigger. Just utilize what you've got there just a little bit more. That's what I would do. Otherwise, it's near as perfect flag as you can get, as far as I'm concerned. It's bold, it stands out. When it's on a sea of 50 other flags or 49 other state flags, that stands out as far as I'm concerned. This is a city flag. This is the city of Syracuse in the state of New York. And it's called the First Light, designed by Eric Hart, who won a competition only just a few years back. And I've had the pleasure of having a chat and interviewing Eric. Thinking behind this, him and I spent, over an hour pretty much going into the full details of this flag. And he's really sat and thought about this flag, how it can be changed and utilized, and at the moment there's pride version, or if you expand it, what happens to the colors of the 2 blue triangles at the bottom? How do they overlap if you carry on further down? And the color of the orange. It's a beautiful design and symbolizes very much the Onondaga areas and the trust. The gold signifies the sun and regeneration. The white is for I want to say snow as well as hills, and there's a lot of geography in the valley as well, hence the V shape between the 2 blues. There's a lot. I would strongly recommend to go and have a look and get a little bit more out of what this flag is, because if you're into flags, this one I think is a beautiful design, far superior to what it's replaced of the city of Syracuse as well, and rightly so. Now, this here is the flag of the city of Philadelphia, adapted in 1895. And I'm not sure what else I can really say about it than it's blue and yellow with lots of stuff going on in the middle. Swedish colonizers. Okay, I suppose it's, you know, we can take the colors, and then just busyness going on in the middle. And then we, you know, the center bit is hope and justice and abundance and life. It's more emblems and seals in, but anyway, if you happen to like the city flag of Philadelphia, then I apologize profoundly, but it's far from one of my favorites. Back to normality. Look at this flag of Phoenix. This only dates back to 1990, so a fairly recent flag. It's maroon and white. I love the red on this. The maroon is a beautiful color. So the maroon reflects the Greek meaning of phoenix, which is supposed to be a purple, really, more than anything. And the phoenix in the middle symbolizes rebirth, growth, reflecting the city's rise from the ruins of former civilization. I mean, what is there not to love about this flag, in my humble opinion? Now, I mean, I've got to contradict that and go, to draw the phoenix would be a little tricky, I grant you that. However, when it's up a flagpole flapping around, this does look rather spectacular. It's such a bold design. Keeping it just the two colors means that the phoenix itself really stands out. And it's one of my favorites. Well, I've had it for a little while now. A USA Army vessel signals flag. Very unique from a military perspective, I think. Mind you, castle's strong, solid, fortified. So I get the symbolism that sits behind it. There are many different styles of these signal flags, but this one is a very bold design. And I do like it, to be fair. And I think at the time when I opened it up as well, and wasn't quite sure what it was, so I had to go away and look it up and do a bit of research. But I think because it is such a strong, simple-ish design, it still looks good when it's flapping around up on a flagpole. So I would go, it's just a smidgen too far onto the busy side for me, but I do just still like it. It's kept to minimal colors, just the three if you include the black, which makes it really stand out. Talking of busy flags, but somehow manages to win people over, is the flag of California from 1911, designed by William Todd. The white symbolizing the purity, red representing courage, green for the land, and the brown for the big grizzly bear. Oh, and there's a star in it as well for the sovereignty. And the word republic still in there, even though it's now a state flag and it's not independent at all. Words shouldn't be on flags, but for somehow, and I'm not sure why yet, and I know this gets debated occasionally, having California Republic on there, it works. That said, simply removing the words and keeping everything else would work just as well, if not probably better. The words don't need to be there. They could remove the words and just enlarge the bear on his little green mound. You could make the star slightly bigger, but keep the red and everything else exactly the same. Everyone would still know it's the flag of California. It says it all there anyway. Not that there are any bears left in California, however, but let's not go down that one at all. There we go. Let's just bring that into the fold. There we go. So this is Utah state flag. It's a fairly new flag, to be fair. It was almost an amalgamation of winning designs when they held a competition a good few years back. I think it was back in 2020 they started this competition, and it ran for years and years and years over COVID. Not one specific person submitted this particular design. However, there were a number of designs that were very similar to this that all sort of came together. Blue hexagon outlined in gold, that's obviously the center. Beehive, because it's known as the Beehive State, and a 5-pointed star. So the blue represents Utah's skies and lakes, as well as the values like faith, knowledge, and freedom. The white symbolizing peace and the snowy peaks of the Utah mountains. The red evokes the red rock canyons of southern Utah. The gold for the hexagon, the beehive symbolizing obviously prosperity and unity, which is great. The beehive, which has been a long-standing symbol of Utah, which is more for representing industry and community as opposed to having just lots of worker bees around everywhere, but the symbolism's there. And the hexagon resembles the honeycombs as well, reinforcing the beehive theme. And the 5-pointed star represents that Utah was the 45th state Union. So instead of having 45 little stars on there, they had just the one that is the representation of all 45 stars on there, which is great. And I love this flag completely. I think this is one of the best. It's busy, I give it that, absolutely give it that. But when it comes to US state flags, that's a corker, in my own personal opinion, and I love it. I've been Mr. P. This is the Flag Lair. Thank you all for joining and spending the time with me. And until next time, be seeing you.